Hiphoptictacticians of the world. We have my good friend Gov'nah the Diamond in the building tonight. We've been hyping this episode for a couple weeks now. It's actually been a few months since we've spoken, and I'm really glad that we have the opportunity to do so on the show here now. Hey, Zach.
What's up? I'm here now.
Hey,
hopefully
we can hear you this
me.
time.
Yeah,
What up,
I
Zach?
had to switch over to my phone. My computer doesn't want to work.
That's all right, bro. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, man?
Yeah. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, brother, man. Pleasure to meet you, man. We never met before, though, right?
We might have met. Were you at Mercury's in Toronto?
Yeah, of course. I performed there.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was chilling with Jason that night, so I was there for that.
All right, on, bro.
I think I met you one other time at the Weed Lounge place.
Nice.
Zach helps me on a lot of my events.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we smoke some weed.
Anytime you see me DJing, there's a pretty good chance that Zach's not too far.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That was good to have a sidekick, man, or a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, support is always important, right? So.
Absolutely. And while we're talking about that, we've got the chance to plug a show we're doing December 7th in Belleville with Robbie G. Zach, tell them the details.
Robbie
Yeah,
G.
so I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a ton of raw details, but yeah, my guy Robbie G asked Jason and I to come out and do the show, so we interviewed him. He was in the middle of a gym session when we interviewed him. That was something, but yeah, that was a first for us. But we're gonna be out in Belleville at the Bell Pub. I don't know who else is gonna be there. Me, Robbie G, and Jay. That's all I know. That's all I can say on here.
Jay Clark.
Me, Jay Clark, Robbie G, DJ Tic-Tactic, Zach Weston.
Nice.
I don't know who else is gonna be there, but should be a good time. I got like a ton of new stuff that I've never performed before that I'm gonna be performing.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
Hell yeah, bro.
That's super dope, man.
So yeah, I've performed with you a number of times. I think the first time I met you was, I want to say 6-7 years ago. I was doing media coverage for an event called Run the Region. And it was at Whiskey John's in Whitby, I believe, and you performed at that. It was a competition that was put on by Cortez. And I can't remember the name of the company that he had at the time, but it was a competition. I believe someone named LT the Monk from Hamilton won, but your performance did stand out to me. Do you remember that event?
It was Run the Region, Cortez, and it was what was the name of the company? He used to rap. That had to do with my boy there, the artist.
Oh, yeah, Rooks McCoy was his main
McCoy.
at the time. Now going by Sonny Hendrix. We've had him on the show a few times.
Yeah.
And I've DJ'd for him a few times too. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I remember.
And, I think we worked the same bottle drive maybe too.
I think so, bro. I think I pulled up in a limo. Didn't I pull up in a limo?
I don't remember that, but I remember your performance. You had a pretty grand entrance. I was inside already, so maybe you came in a limo.
Yeah, I came in a limo, and they give me the microphone outside as soon as I come out of the limo. So I had the microphone from the limo to inside the venue, and that was my entrance that day. I
remember that entrance. I was like, damn, like before you even started, I was like, this guy has showmanship.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. You know, I don't know. For me, it's always being like, I live for the moment, like when it comes to this music shit. Like, I've always loved to push the envelope. You know what I'm saying? I work hard, so I play hard. You know what I'm saying? So something that might seem like, excuse me, something that might seem like something so small or normal to someone. You know what I'm saying? Or something that is actually big, but people don't seem to see the full capacity or the full spectrum of it. You know what I mean? I'm literally like I'm usually right on it. You know what I mean? I like to go the extra mile for everything on everything that I do. Right. So I remember that performance. That was great.
So then we fast forward a few years. We're part of the same crew for a few months, and we did a number of shows together.
Yeah.
I want to rewind all the way to the beginning, though. I really don't know much about your personal life or your story, to be honest with you. We've just seen each other at shows, so
Yeah.
I want to go right back to the beginning, man. Like where were you born and all of that? Like tell us.
I was born in South America in Ecuador. Right? South America, Ecuador in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? And it was, man, all I can tell you is there was what an experience growing up in those days and that part of the world, right? Like very undeveloped place. Yet, you know, with a lot of charisma and a lot of very intelligent, powerful, striving, hardworking people, right? But undeveloped in terms of economy and, you know, resources and, you know, opportunities in those days. And until this day, somewhat, some of those things still apply, right? But it was rough, man. It was rugged. You know, it was, you know, my parents, my mother, I didn't really had a father too much in the picture, you know what I'm saying? Like, but my mother did the best that she could with whatever she knew. And you know, she managed to take care of me and my brother. As a single mother, she managed to do very well. You know what I'm saying? In conjunction with my grandmother, help with my grandmother, and you know what I mean, and my auntie. You know what I mean? Like the sense of family is very strong where I'm from. You know what I mean? At least for what I know, I don't know now. You know what I'm saying? Like I think times change. I think, you know what I mean? I think for the most part, we Latin American people are still strong, like in terms of family, but the world's changing. So, but yeah, you know, I
You
grew up.
can't go home, right?
Yeah, I grew up very strong with a very strong sense of family. So, but not having a father figure, you know, led me to, you know, be out there, and just, you know, learn things. You know what I mean? First of all, like I had my father a few times in my life, and the few times that I had my father was very, like, a very dramatic and very traumatic too, right? You know, like I developed a passion for certain things that at that time as a child, you know, no child should be exposed to, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And my father was the first person who put a gun in my hand. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You know, just to not to go into too much, but just to give you an example of, I don't know, you know, things that I experienced. You know what I'm saying? Like, or I think to myself, like where a lot of things originated, like back. You know what I mean? Like my father. The few times, like I said, the few times that I've seen him were very traumatic and very dramatic and shit like that. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, you know what I mean? You know, like I grew and I fought, and you know, growing up over there was definitely a learning experience. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the times where, like, if you didn't do what was right, you get beaten.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like physically beaten. You know what I'm saying? Well, there was a school system, systematically speaking, or, you know, the parentings. You know what I mean? That's what was like enforced. You know what I'm saying? You didn't listen, bam, you will feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a saying: "He who don't hear must feel." Right? So that's what it's kind of like growing up in those times. You know what I mean? Nevertheless, you know, I'm very grateful for growing up in a very harsh environment and conditioning, because it made me very disciplined today. It made me more like, thanks to all of that, it molded me who I am today. And I'm a very disciplined person that never fell for drugs or never fell for the wrong type of life. As much as I did live the wrong type of life, I think growing and being where I'm at. I'm like growing to my age and, the experiences and the moments that I have had and the trajectory and the journey that I have achieved and all of that, lets me know that I, I saved myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I fought for that shit. So like I saved my spirits, my good heart, my mentality, you know what I'm saying? And progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was rough, but we made it.
And what age did you move to Canada?
I came over here when I was 15, turning 16.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like for you? Like, when you first, I guess, got off the plane here, was it like winter and you were used to tropical, or was it like a complete culture shock for you, or how was it?
Yeah, of course. Like I remember coming over here. I first of all I came over here in July, right? So it
Okay, so
was
that's not so bad then.
that wasn't that bad, right? So it was still hot, right? But then experiencing my first like winter, that shit was different. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I was like, oh hell no, you know. But I had no choice, so it was very captivating for me to take in the new environment as it came, as it unfolded, right? I think like going through school and everything at that time because I was fresh over here. You know what I mean? Made everything more like digestible, like made it a lot better. You know what I'm saying? But it was definitely a culture shock, right? Because you see, like growing up in South America, like in the times that I grew up, like I realized that culturally speaking, you know what I'm saying? Like we very passionate people, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Latin American people. So like for most of your life, you're like it's like you're trained and conditioned to feel, and you move in emotions. So you're kind of like you were taught to like through emotions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? So not to say that we're not logical people, but in those times, you know what I mean? Undeveloped, and you know what I'm saying? As people, it was more like you were driven by emotion and taught by emotion. You know what I'm saying? As much as you had the school system and everything, but like the confiding and coexisting with people that was more driven into emotions and shit like that, right? Because not everybody
Right.
was educated, right?
Sure.
So, but when I came over here, I had to like with I would say I would say that one of the biggest lessons that I learned over here in Canada through adaptation was to think like to you kind of like just use the logical way of everything. You know what I'm saying? Apply more of my logics, but more so like my Canadian logics, right? With a little twist of sarcasm too, right? In a humble and funny way, right? But just apply my logistics and use them a lot more. And so that was a culture shock, right? Because I came from a very like my childhood, I came from a very rough place. I came from a jungle, man. You know what I'm saying? I came from seeing and experiencing from a lot of bad things, from a child. Things that no child shall ever be involved with or see, you know what I mean? Even if it's casually going on his way to school,
Right.
I grew up in an environment where it was, like literally kill or be killed. It
Right.
was like, it was like a savage way of life. It was a jungle,
Mm-hmm.
So when I came over here, to try to use my logics instead of my animal instincts was very hard.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I had to learn how to reprogram and reform myself as a human being coming from a different time, from a different place where like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just that. It was kill or be killed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was, if you try to take something from me, it was me or you. You know what I'm saying? If you try to take my food or if you You know, if you try to take my shoes, or people will get taken for the shoes. People will die over T-shirts. People will die over starter caps. You know what I'm saying? Like, people die over starter caps.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. So like ABS, LA Gears, a lot of people got hanged, machete, sliced through their necks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could just go on, right? So that's a place that I came from. You know what I'm saying? You know. And to come over here to practice logic, you know what I mean? You know, it was a shock. Like, the fact that I no longer had to, for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything else. Cause when I landed over here, when I came over here, I landed in a place around an area called, Keel and Rogers, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. But then from there, I moved to Gin and Shepherd, which was down the street from Gin and Finch.
Mm-hmm.
But then a year and a half later, I went straight to Gin and Finch, which was down the street, which was where I was hanging around with the man them anyways, right?
Right.
So then I just stayed down there. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, man, you know what I'm saying? You live, you learn, you see shit, right? And I worked my motherfucking ass off and I made it out. You get what I'm saying? It was, you know?
Absolutely.
And I made it out. Yeah.
And here we are today. How did you fall in love with music?
Music was always in my blood, man. My father and my whole family were singers, right?
Right.
My father was a very prominent singer in my country at his time when I was a baby, when I was obviously a little boy. And my mother was a singer, my grandmother was a singer. Like, music was actually in my family. All my father's brothers were prominent singers at their times in my country. You know what I'm saying? I Spanish rock group called Clip. And my father, obviously, my father had a live band called 200 Miles.
Okay.
In Spanish, you know what I'm saying? And yeah.
Well, and you're a very good singer yourself. I mean, you're on this show because it's a hip hop show and you make hip hop music sometimes, but the music that we actually listen to in our house the most is the other stuff that you make where you're kind of singing a little bit.
I appreciate that, man. That's the Spanish shit.
Yeah, we love it. Our daughters know it. I don't know if they know what any of the words mean or anything, but they sing along. And
I'm sorry, that's the Spanish music. I didn't mean to use the word right.
But it's okay. We're on late enough at night. But yeah, that's like the reggaeton stuff is like we rock out to that when we're at the beach and shit. Like, that's,
yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's a compliment. Thank you.
That was that's our jam.
That's dope, man. I love music, man. You know what I'm saying? Music is everything to me. Music is therapy. Music is, like what sets me free, you know? Mm-hmm. I think, like, everybody's got their dreams and everybody's got their, like, I think everybody's got like not everybody, but for the most part, like, if you, like, you put these dreams of yours in your mind and you have kind of like an idea of like what you're gonna do to get there, you know what I'm saying? And for me, it's been a beautiful journey, man, because I taught myself a couple of languages, right?
Okay.
I speak a couple of languages, right? I'm self-taught a few languages, right? Including English, right? So for me to be able to, like, for instance, I'm having an interview with you on your channel right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is a big accomplishment. And I tell you why. Because obviously I'm aside from the fact that I'm like rocking with somebody like that means something to the culture like yourself.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
The fact is, right, that I came from a place where like English is not my first language.
Right.
And it never was. So I taught myself the language. I taught myself how to speak it, how to write it, how to make sentences, how to write paragraphs, how to express myself. Like I taught myself that.
Right.
Thanks to all glory to God, right? No, the glory is not mine, but all glory to God. So, like, God allowed me to teach myself that and to comprehend that and teach myself that Portuguese, Italian, a little bit of Moroccan, and so on, so on, so, right? So, the point I'm trying to make is like for me to be able to have come from South America, Ecuador, all the way down here, right? And felt like because I fell in love with hip hop when I saw Michael Jackson. When we finally in Ecuador, we finally had a color TV, or I think it was color, black and white. I think it was color. I'm pretty sure it was color. And I saw Michael Jackson do the moonwalk, and then I saw Thriller for the first time.
Yeah.
It was a rap. Like that was my inspiration. So I would say that I saw that shit, and it was like it's over.
Yep.
I said to myself, I wanna dance like him. I wanna do the same thing that he's doing. I wanna sing whatever he's singing. So that's what drove me to teach myself like English out of a dictionary. I tell myself English out of a dictionary. That's what I did after I saw Michael Jackson.
Incredible.
Yeah, no, I swear. My first two, you know what? The first two songs that I translated from English, sonically speaking, because obviously I've never like spoken English before, so like I had to like literally like sonically hear, like sonically translate the word,
Yeah.
right, and go through the dictionary. Like if I come up with, so the first two songs that I wrote in English while teaching myself English was Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
And do you remember that More Than Words?
Oh, yeah.
More than words.
Yeah.
It's all you have to. Right? So I wrote those songs while I listened to that shit on
Okay, I'm going to
tape.
really put you to the test now. Can you do the part of the...
Nah, I'm not gonna do that. But like I was teaching myself English, so I wrote these songs not knowing the words and the pronunciation, not knowing how like they were like structured, like what letter was, and then what I did was like more than words. So I was like, okay, more. I was like, I'll go to the letter M, more, and I will go M more, 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 to have more of. So what I will do is like I will write that word, right, and I match it to what I wrote sonically hearing on the paper. And then I'd be like, more. And then, so now I would write it on a different paper. I would be like, more. And I would be like, Dan, TH, Dan, DAN. No, TTTHTHAN, Dan, more, Dan. Oh, okay, more, Dan. And then I would go words, and then I would put them together. And that's how I would teach myself. So that would transform into me grabbing the dictionary, right, on the weekends, and just flipping it and opening it and picking a random word, right, and then writing it down on a piece of paper, then go do whatever I needed to do, come back after playing or school or whatever, if it was a weekday, come back, flip the paper, write the word, right, write the word myself on the other side of the paper, and the meaning, right, and then flip the paper and then flip the dictionary and compare it. And then eventually I started writing sentences, and eventually that turned to paragraphs, you know what I mean? So it started with 2 songs. You know what I'm saying? That's how I started to teach myself the language, you know? So for me to be able to do that, for me to have had traveled this journey, this trajectory, and have had like experiences like, opening for you guys, for doing big shows like Millie's, Sean Paul, Sean Kingston, damn, so many, man. Food Rap back in the day. So I did who else is there? Killer Priest. I did some music with the Outlaws. There's so many things that I could go on that I've done and I've accomplished in this game, and I'm grateful for it. So for me, it's like a travel in this journey is like, it's a big sense of accomplishment, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
it's a big sense of accomplishment.
the fact that the songs are what made you want to learn a new language go to show you that like music inspires.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and yeah, like look what that made, like look what it inspired you to do, like it's crazy.
Yeah, man, watching Michael Jackson just set me off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you know, in between there, I saw, you know, MC Hammer and all of these cats doing it and blah, 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 blah. And I just went crazy, you know what I mean? But it was when I saw Michael Jackson do the moonwalk, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this music shit that way, you know? Because music was already in me. When I was about 7, 8, 9, I was already touring the country with my father. Because remember, I said my father was a very prominent singer in those days. So I got pictures of me as a child with the maracas, with a fucking full band. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, in front of a fucking crowd. I was already doing that from a child. You know, my father exposed me to that. You know, and the times that, you know, as much as I didn't have them, the times that I didn't have them were very, like I said, very dramatic and traumatic. You know, at the same time. You know what I mean? And in between there, you know, there was those little moments where there was like, so I guess, you know, out of all that, there was like, I guess I have no choice but to look at those as like some good memories, because that's all the memories that I got left.
Right.
That, you know what I'm saying? So, but you know, at least, you know, he seeded that, like, I don't know if he actually seeded the music in me, or it's just the fact that, you know what, like, you know, I didn't have him there, so I wanted him to be my hero, I guess, and so and that whatever he was doing is exactly what I picked up. But right. I did fall in love with music, you know what I mean, and I am personally in love with music, and yeah.
And when did you start making your own music?
I think I was a kid, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I was very, like I say, after I saw Michael Jackson, man, my whole world changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only way you would listen to music in those days is like if you had like, the only way you would listen to new music as it came is like if you had like a friend that was like rich, that you knew from a different neighborhood far away from where we were, because we was poor, right? So like you had to know somebody, right? And they would have to have money or have family that would like send them shit from the United States, because in those days you didn't know there was such a thing called Canada.
Right.
All we ever knew was USA, right?
Yeah.
So for you to get anything that was cool, you would have to know somebody that was like let's say being from like Gin and Finch, you would have to know somebody that like from like Richmond Hill.
Right.
And you would have to travel from Gin and Finch all the way to Richmond Hill, right? To hang out with that person.
Something their cousin sent them or whatever, right?
To hang out with that person and, you know, just to catch a vibe and, you know, to meet new people and, you know, just to get what I'm saying, right? So like if you knew people, if you have friends, like that will have like that kind of connection, or like the aunties or whatever that will send them music, that's the way you will listen to new music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I had a couple of friends, you know what I mean, that I guess they had those kind of like family members in the States, and they were sending music, and I got to hear different shit, you know what I'm saying? And the more that I heard, it's just like the more that I went crazy about shit, right?
And you know what? It's funny because even growing up here, that's how I first heard hip hop.
But I started as a dancer though, right? Like I started dancing on the streets.
Like a friend of mine had an older cousin, and he went and visited him in the summer, and his cousin gave him a tape called Rap Tracks 3, and he was like, listen to this, and life was never the same afterwards. But it's funny that it's like someone's older cousin or cooler cousin or from somewhere else sends them something, and it's like, damn, this opens a whole new world for me.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. It's crazy the way music works, man. You know what I mean? Like it changes people's life. It changed my life for sure. See, the thing is, like in those days when I listened to all of that, like those were like really heavy gang days
Mm-hmm.
in my country. There was a lot of like a lot of gangs in those days.
Right.
And the thing is, like, I don't know, for whatever reason, man, from a child, bro, I just never felt like I needed to be in no gang
Mm-hmm.
for me to like defend myself. It was just like I couldn't explain it, bro. And even much more after my father, like shit changes. You remember, you're a child, bro. Like, so even much more, even after my father put my first gun in my hand, I just became like a fucking extra fucking like a fucking like a just beyond an animal. You know, that mentality, like from early, just like ready to go. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like shit changes you, bro. You know what I mean? But there was there was a lot of gangs in those days, and I never felt like I had to be part of it. But guess what? You know what I'm saying? Like I was friends with every single one of them, and I would hang around with them every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never part of their gang. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, like I made it clear I'm just a one-man I'm just a one-man army, right? And that's sort of that's how I pretty much gained my respect. I built my own path in those days. You know what I'm saying? And in those days, you know, they were identified. They would have like gang battles, right? And what it was like, you know, you have not only homemade like guns made out of homemade pipes, like, or made out of pipes, like made out of pipes, like you know, like plastic pipes and shit like that. But culturally, like there was this thing where like they would like actually like have like dance offs.
Okay.
But they were gangs dance offs.
Okay.
And you know, like, and a lot of times they would turn into like, you know, a lot of gunfights and
right.
You know what I mean? And all of that shit, you know what I mean? And Molotovs, a lot of Molotov cocktails, right, in those days. And rocks more than anything, right? Because, you know what I'm saying? Everything was like rocks. There was no sidewalks. There was none of that. But yeah, those are the times that I grew up in, man. You know what I mean? You know, they will have these dance-offs. And so like, I learned how to dance from them, you know? And that eventually turned into, you know, like me starting to hum shit and, you know what I mean? When my father, because this is so crazy, because this shit happens, I believe, if I'm not wrong, this shit happens right before my father came into my life. You know what I'm saying? I was seeing shit from early. Yeah, of course, because I was seeing, yeah, absolutely. Because I remember seeing my best friend's body on the side of the road. I saw him going to school and seeing his feet. Nah, don't worry about it, man. Like where I'm from and the shit that I seen, you know, like it changes, like it changes people, bro. You know what I mean? It changes mentalities. It changes perspectives. It changes views. You know what I'm saying? I'm just grateful and happy enough that, you know what, like I said, you know, we were talking about music, and music saved my life in so many ways. You know what I mean? Once I found this music, I knew that I was destined. I was going to be something bigger. You know what I mean? I was, you know, that this was something beautiful that, you know, like, you know, that was given to me to do something creative with myself. So I just followed the path. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, just like everybody else in the world, I fought hard to keep my good heart. I fought really hard to keep my morality. I fought really hard to you know, to keep my dignity, you know, my values, you know what I'm saying, and all the things that I love and I stand for, and that I love sharing with the world. So I'm very, you know, I'm very grateful that I seen and I was part of the things that I've been in and through until this point in my life, because it allows me to you know, speak from experience and knowledge, and more than anything, touch other people's lives and create change in a positive way, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, be
Yeah.
there for other individuals that they might think that there's nobody else is there for them, but there's somebody else that can actually correlate and be like, hey, listen, I'm here for you. You know, I got you.
Hmm. I keep noticing your tattoo, and it's one of my favorite words. Actually, it's a great code to live by, and I don't think there's a better place to have it than right under your mouth. Tell our listeners and our viewers, for people watching on YouTube, what omerta.
Omerta, omerta, omerta è il codigo della mafia. E tu non puoi parlare, tu non puoi parlare ni troppo. Nada. It's basically what I'm saying. That was Italian, by the way.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, omerta means the code of silence. Tu non puoi parlare, non parlare nada, con nadie.
And
So,
I think your placement of that is like, yeah, it pretty much tells it like it is. Like, if
il
you're
codigo
saying,
del silenzio.
you're not
Yeah. It's basically, you know, it's a thing that originated with the Sicilian mafia, right? You know, La Cosa Nostra, right? And it just basically means omerta means the code of silence. You know, something that I live by, the code of silence, right? You know what I'm saying? You know, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, right? And
if you're interested in that stuff, Mario Puzo, who wrote The Godfather,
absolutely.
wrote a book called Omerta as well, and it's, in my opinion, a better story than Godfather.
You know what? I heard about it. I have not read it, but I will definitely look into it because
Yes, sir.
it's definitely, you know, I just believe in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I believe in living by a code and being a gentleman.
Yeah, a code of ethics, right? Because without ethics, what are we?